to do stupid ass TikTok dances. But it's much more nefarious than that. It is way, way more nefarious. All joking aside, I didn't go through and read this bill and study it and get all the nuances and details because it doesn't matter. There's one provision in this bill that is so nightmarish and fascist that it pretty much signals that everything that people have been concerned about it's at least that bad. So basically, they're trying to ban TikTok, and to a lot of people, that just means that there's not going to be this stupid ass twerking. What is it? You wake up in the morning and the Senate's full of jerks. They want to ban your right to watch women twerk. You gotta fight for your right. But yeah, so it's not just about that. It's not just about girls twerking and stupid TikTok dances and trends. Personally, I hate it because, yes, thank you, Flezick, and I appreciate support from the rest of you that have supported and joined Patreon. Please do support the channel if you appreciate us trying to fight for our right to twerk on the internet. But as I'm about to establish, it's far more important than that, and this is way scarier than just losing some stupid Chinese app that causes attention deficit syndrome and exploits or allows people to exploit themselves. I mean, there is a lot of shameless exploitation of like disabled kids by their parents and stuff. I mean, TikTok is kind of warped. I'm not saying it's not. But what is scary, please hit the like button. There are 7 of you and only 1 like. That's totally not fighting for your right, my right to be here. Anyways, seriously though, they put a provision in there that if you use a VPN to access banned content, which means any content from China, I think North Korea, one of the Middle Eastern countries, I don't remember, I don't care, any of them, one is enough, and it is a 20-year mandatory minimum if you use a VPN to access banned content in the United States. 20 years mandatory minimum. And in case you don't understand what a mandatory minimum sentence is, that means that the judge cannot sentence you to less than 20 years in prison. Okay, you have to understand that this is happening in the United States. This is not China. This is not Russia. This is not North Korea. This is the United States that has prided itself on freedom and freedom of speech and open press. You know, if it was 20 years ago, people would be absolutely losing their shit. You know, one of the things I've been wondering in the last few years is what happened to the ACLU? Do they still exist, or do they just not really give a fuck anymore, or what happened? You know, this to me, okay, so here's the thing about TikTok. I can't say a fraction of the things on YouTube that I can say on TikTok. Yes, it's full of idiots, doing stupid shit and girls, naked, twerking, whatever, stupid dances and trends and stuff. But it is also the last major platform that we have left that allows us to communicate freely. More or less, right? There's still things you can't say, but you can say anything political. You can encourage people to think. You know what I mean? There's certain words and stuff that you can't use. But to give you an example of how bad it's gotten on the U.S.-based social media platforms, and those of you that follow me regularly have heard all this, and I apologize for that. But actually, some of you have accused me of being paranoid or try to diminish what's actually happening and offer less malignant sounding explanations for why I don't get as many views as I did before I was demonetized, and say that maybe people just don't want to watch your content, or people aren't searching for your type of content or whatever. But I've actually gotten notices from Facebook and YouTube explaining to me that my content has moved lower in feeds. And, you really have to ask yourself why, because there is psychedelic content on the internet. But if I post even a picture of, well, pictures I've gotten away with, but a video, and this is the last strike I got, was literally just a video of me picking psilocybe cubensis in a field. You guys can find video of Mike Tyson eating mushrooms with, what is that guy's name? The guy that makes up all the ancient history stuff, none of it's real. Graham Hancock. You know what I mean? People eat mushrooms on YouTube, but honestly, the only thing I can see that is different between my channel and those other creators is that I'm not telling anyone what to think. I'm encouraging people to question everything. And that is why I'm barely still on YouTube. Because you look at my content, I don't make anything hateful. I don't promote anything. I'm pretty careful about what I say, right? But if I so much as post a little clip of a mushroom, they're coming down me with a strike, right? And they're sending me notices saying that I've been placed lower in people's feeds across platforms. They sent me another notice that notified me that all the U.S. platforms are working together to control misinformation and whatnot. So, you know what I mean? I cannot, if I promote myself on Facebook, no one sees it. You know what I mean? They totally I don't know why they don't just delete your channel. But the point is that it's super difficult. Look, somebody unliked this. It's just now. Like, what could I possibly have said that, you know what I mean? Man, I'm so tired of stupid people. This shit is important. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for that, because, I feel like I'm putting my channel, which is basically my livelihood, or my lifeline at least, on the line by making content like this. I really believe that at this point. Because the only reason for them to put people in prison for 20 years for viewing TikTok is to control the flow of information and to cancel free speech. That is it. Because they have already done that for all intents and purposes on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all of the major United States platforms. It is very tightly controlled. I have noticed, however, that Facebook, a lot of the stuff that they were calling misinformation that has actually turned out to be true, they do not dispute the posts. So that is like the one little ray of sunshine as far as our ability to communicate using American social media. Yeah, more freedom. We need more freedom. But we need to accept responsibility for a lot of shit too before we can have that. But I don't want to get into that. We're going to get into that tomorrow. I'm going to do a part 2, by the way, of my Freemasons and Illuminati truth stream that I started yesterday, because I packed all this stuff into the description. And what happens if I put too much in the description, I try to get to it all, the streams end up really fragmented and there's not a lot of continuity. And that kind of happened yesterday. So I'm going to make another one where I'm going to talk more about my personal involvement with all of that and just kind of fix up the patches that I missed yesterday, because it's been bugging me today. Yeah, 11/11. Nice. So anyways, we're going to continue that tomorrow. But we need to take this seriously, you guys. I mean, this is something that calls for action. If they take away TikTok, and let's say I know something, right, with my old Masonic connections, and you know what I mean? I can't tell you. They will delete it. You know what I mean? If I have an intuition or something, and it's something that they don't want people to hear, they're gonna delete it. And they might just delete the channel, But 20 years mandatory minimum in prison for using a VPN to view banned material or banned content in the United States of America. This is actually on the Senate floor as we speak. I don't know when it's being voted on, but again, I just want to reiterate, this confirms all of our worst fears and suspicions about the direction that the United States is heading, because there is no reason to ban TikTok except to control the flow of information and to cancel free speech. It is the last major platform that we can communicate freely on. This is a big problem. This is a big deal. Like, I don't know if you need to contact your senators, which is not going to do you a lick of good. You know what I mean? They don't care. You don't have a senator that's got your back. Trust me, you don't. You don't have any politician that's going to do anything for you except maybe at like the county level or maybe the state level. but probably not. You know, I would imagine there's a few good ones out there, but mostly they're all bought and sold, or they would not get anywhere near, you know, the office. That's not allowed in the U.S. Yeah, I mean, that's the only thing we can hope is that it doesn't pass. But I think it's enough and it justifies this stream, even if it doesn't pass, that we need to be seriously, seriously concerned about the fact that there are still, there are politicians in the United States that would even introduce a bill that provides 20-year mandatory minimums for people that are trying to view information and content. And again, we're not talking about pedophilia. We're not talking about bestiality. We're not talking about murder. We're not talking about terrorism. We're not talking about any of those things. We are talking just because it's coming from a country that is off limits, right? This is straight out of Orwell. It really, truly is. And if it wasn't for the unfortunate series of events that has defined our experience since 2020, man, this vocal reverb's kind of getting on my nerves a little bit. I hope it's not bothering you guys, but in my headphones, I sound like I'm in a tin can. I was working on music before I jumped on the stream, and I guess I didn't turn it off. Yeah, I mean, this is just super, super insane. And okay, so what I was saying is the trajectory that we've been on, if there wasn't conceptual continuity with all these unfortunate events, then, who cares? But there has been, there has been a decrease in freedom. We were locked down. I can't, again, you guys, like, seriously, I am on a U.S. platform and I cannot say what I was about to say. Like, they will give me a strike. I can't even talk. You know what I mean? I wasn't going to use profanity. I wasn't going to threaten anyone. I wasn't going to lie, right? But I could not say what I was going to say, even though it's factual, without having to worry about getting my channel some kind, at least a strike. You know what I mean? This is already over the line. Freedom of speech is extremely important, and it kind of horrifies me to see how many people on the left are actually in favor of who even uses TikTok. Almost everyone in the United States. It's like 250 million people have TikTok accounts in the United States, or almost everyone, dude. You know what I mean? Who even uses TikTok? Where have you been? Under a rock in the jungle somewhere? I mean, I'm literally under a rock in the Amazon rainforest right now. And I mean, at least under a bunch of bats. They've been shitting in this bathroom sink. There's a lot of bats in here. But yeah, man, everyone's on TikTok. And again, a lot of it is totally stupid, mindless, and it does like shred your attention span, just the nature of it. But it is also, it has established itself as being extremely important because we have no other way to communicate at this point openly. It's true. You guys should follow me on TikTok. I have 60,000 followers on TikTok and over 20 million. I think I have 2 million likes or something. So that account's actually way bigger than my YouTube channel. 60,000 followers. And I can say anything. I'm pretty nervous when I do streams because there's so much that I want to say and that I need to say, but I'm very limited, which is a good reason for you guys to join my Patreon so that you can come to our secret streams and our Discord chats where I'm going to have the muzzle off and I can say whatever I want. To an extent, again, let me tell you guys, in case you haven't heard this from me yet, I know I talk about it a lot, but the Orwellian insanity of this is so bad that this is not paranoia. This is what a lot of people, I get these comments and stuff that suggest that I'm being paranoid or something. This is not my imagination. This is literally from YouTube and Facebook. Like, this is not just me thinking shit. They have told us this. You guys can look it up yourself. Rogan read it out loud, pulled it up, had Jamie pull it up and read the thing. Like, you know what I mean? It's just crazy how many people say that in the comments, that I'm just tripping or paranoid or think I'm too self-important or something. This is not even, it's just fucking stupid. It's what YouTube told us. Anyways, so they're analyzing your keystroke, typing speed, They detect what devices are close to your main devices. They will actually even lower the priority of your partner and your friends if their devices have been close to your devices a lot. If you're one of these people that is on this list of undesirables or whatever. So, and like I said, they have told us this shit. It's not paranoia. It's not conspiracy theory. You can look it up yourself. It's that bad that if one of you guys comes, like the people that come here for the retreat, if their devices are around me for a full month, I am willing to bet that their Facebook posts will get less likes and less, because an entire month, like right around me, it's probably going to trigger this thing to, for YouTube to make good on the promise and Facebook. Yeah, so I mean, this doesn't need to be a super long live stream because I've pretty much gotten my point across. You fight, but you're right. Seriously though, I mean, it's you got to tell people, you know what I mean? Make sure people are aware of this, that they know what's going on. I mean, if you feel like it's going to do you any good, contact senators, contact your politicians. Do post about this online. I mean, I think finally they've gone so far that even these sleepwalking automaton normie NPC zombie people are going to be upset by this. 20 years in prison for using a VPN to access banned content in the United States. Like, I can't imagine that people are actually just going to roll over and allow this. I mean, a lot of the things that people have been complicit with, but you guys should buy my shirt that says, if you are compliant, you are complicit. I haven't sold a single copy. You know how important that message is right now? I'm just absolutely baffled that no one wants to wear that shirt. But it's true. If you are compliant, you're complicit. And this stuff is out of control. It's totally out of control, and the fact that they have gotten like far left people to support censorship because they think it's going to limit hate. Like, let's talk about that. I would rather know where all the hateful, insane people are and what they're thinking than have, our platforms, our social media censored. So we don't know who they are. We don't know where they are. We don't know what they're thinking. Fuck that. It's stupid. And you don't have a chance to argue with them. You don't have a chance to try to influence their opinion if they have a dangerous or toxic or destructive, social disposition or whatever it is, racism, whatever it is. So they just make it invisible to us, so we get blindsided by it. I don't know if it could get any dumber than that. It's not helping anyone, and that's not why they're doing it. They are not censoring. The government doesn't do anything to help you or protect you. That is not what they are there for at this point. They work for their corporate overlords, and that's it. That's the end of the story, right? You are just a number, an expendable, walking, talking piece of meat. Like, you have no value. You know what I mean? You're not part of the equation, except, and here's another thing I've noticed that people are really kind of shocking me with, this kind of belief that the government is just bumbling around and that they're like responding to this stuff in the moment. We have Chat GPT as of like 6 weeks ago or something, available to the public 8 weeks ago. I don't know how long it's been, maybe longer, and I just didn't notice. But the point is, not super, super long. How long do you think the government has been communicating with AI? How much of the behavior of the human populace do you think they have been able to predict using computers and algorithms? I mean, it's just, people really need to stop being so naive and realize what we're actually up against, the kind of technology that these people have at their disposal, and realize that these clowns like Biden and Trump and the other clowns that they use are only there as a sort of distraction and a scapegoat and a clown to give the appearance of being out of touch with reality and bumbling inefficiency, but that shit is not real. Do you really think the wealthiest people on earth are going to leave their financial futures and their safety in the hands of fucking lunatic clowns, senile old men or lunatic clowns like Trump? You're out of your mind. It's not real. They're not doing that. I mean, a good army commander leaves no variables that he can control to chance. And if you really think the elite operate any other way, you're smoking crack, and bad crack, like that new crack with the extra drugs in it or whatever, you know? Yeah, well, he's asking about Putin and whether the U.S. presidents, like, they make decisions and then have to change their mind because the men in black come along. I don't even think it's like that. They don't do anything that they haven't been told to do. Obama even said it was like middle management. It's a joke. They're not real. People need a hero. There's something in the primate psychology of people. Like, we are apes, whether you like it or not. And apes not only imitate each other, which is something they use to tremendous benefit and exploit the hell out of, but not only the imitating, but the fact that we are instinctually predisposed to follow an alpha monkey, right? So there's this like fundamental instinctual drive to have some almost like superhero leader of the tribe of chimps. And that's why people have this instinctual faith in presidents, but it's a complete joke. None of them are real. They have no power. They're not elected. You know what I mean? It's just completely a fucking facade. And people just need to stop it and realize that it's just such a joke. There is no, messiah politician that is ever coming, They're totally under the control of their corporate overlords, or they would not be allowed near the White House. They would not be put in front of a camera. There's no chance of that. Zero. I mean, you just have to think it through objectively and realistically, and you can understand it. It's blown my mind since I was a little kid. Like, how is it that people actually buy into this farce? How does anyone believe it? Like, it's just such a joke. It's such a joke to think that the wealthiest people in the world with access to all this technology and Ivy League think tanks and all of this stuff would allow the average Walmart shopping IQ of 85 American idiot to choose a leader that's going to manage their financial portfolios, basically, and ensure their freedom. They're going to let these masses that they have intentionally dumbed down over decades choose the leaders that are going to protect them and take care of them. It's incredibly fucking stupid to believe that. Yeah, I mean, I can't put it any more milder than that. It is fucking stupid. And like I said, I don't think that it's even that. Like, I don't think the men in black come along and make them change anything. They never make any decisions in the first place. Everything they do and say is dictated to them. Somebody got some hot mic moments of Biden walking around being told what to say, and it's no different for any of them. People talk about Biden did this. No, he didn't. His overlords instruct him to. And the belief that Trump is some kind of rogue hero is just as dumb as believing that Biden is somehow beneficial to anything or anyone. It's completely insane. And if you look at the decisions that Trump made, it's just a different version. You can tell, he has slightly different interests pulling his strings, but he is totally, totally, totally submitted to them, or he would not be anywhere near the White House or a camera or a microphone or anything. And if you think otherwise, you got a lot of learning to do. I'm sorry. There's just no chance that that's real. Hey, what's going on, Misty? I mean, people keep talking about, what was it? Okay, so questioning our democracy. If you question our democracy, then you are, or if you question elections, you're corroding the democracy. That's it. Let's think this through a little bit. If you're pointing out that the whole thing has been hijacked, you are a threat to it. How stupid is that? Like it blows my mind. Do people actually think beyond the first like sentence that goes through their head when they stumble on a subject? I mean, what is that? How could that come out of anyone's mouth? You know, and don't smirk and say, you know, because it was probably you. Because the left did it in 2016, I think, and then or was it the other way around? The left did it when Trump won, and the right did it when Biden won. And they both, when they lost, either side was like, oh, you can't say that the election's rigged because you're undermining our democracy. 4 years later, the other side, they just switched bullshit that was coming out of their mouths. You don't have a democracy. There's no democracy to undermine by questioning the election. There is no democracy. Like 20 years ago or something, Princeton did a study and said the U.S. is not a democracy, it's an oligarchy. What are people talking about? Undermine your democracy? You know, trust the science, right? According to Princeton, it's not a democracy and it's not a republic either. It's an oligarchy. You know? Yeah, it is Rome, and it's all a fucking farce, man. It's just silly, you know? It's just silly to believe in it at this point. And there's a lot of other stuff that I would like to say, but I just thought better of it, you know? I was kind of headed in that direction, but, you know, and I'm torn because I would like to say this stuff to a larger audience, but I can't take risks like that with this YouTube channel. It's just too integral to my existence to, you know, so I have to do it in my Discord. I didn't put the Discord link in the description. I'm always forgetting because of habit. It's not part of my habit. Yeah, Empire is in decline. Enjoy the ride. And the thing is, so many of us are waking up and so much of it is out of control that they are going for this absolute control nonsense out of absolute desperation. You know what I mean? It's really easy to tell that the clowns are clowns at this point. That the presidents are just like decoys. You know? It's not real. None of it's real. It's a politics. You know, Frank Zappa said in the 1970s, politics is the entertainment vision of the military-industrial complex. That was the 1970s. You know? And I know it hurts probably the egos of some people that hear me say, like, how could anyone have ever believed this shit? But come on, man. Somebody with an IQ like Frank Zappa was where I'm at. You know what I mean? In 1966 or something. This is not new. It's not new. It's just that up until, you know, pretty recently, only the super mega geniuses among the populace had snapped out of it enough to see it. And, you know, right on, Missy. It's just a lot more common that people evolved. You know what I mean? That's part of what's happening. Evolution. There's a telescopic nature to the evolutionary paradigm, which means that, you know, there's 100,000 years between hunter-gatherer to agriculture, and then it was 10,000 years from the beginning of agriculture to the beginning dawn of technology, and then it was 100 years from the dawn of technology to digitizing computers and whatnot. You know what I mean? So you can see it just exponentially going faster and faster and faster and faster. And so the problem that creates for the elite is like, it's like they've got this giant fire hose and they're trying to plug the water up. But if you guys have ever tried to do that, you know, eventually it just blows your thumb off. The only thing you can do then is turn the water off, kill the hose, basically. Yeah, and to some extent, you're right. Fish, I think that's who. Um, that the harder they try to strangle it out, the more out of control it's going to get. But again, you know, if you think about how this really works, we have a tiny little 1% of the way, way top of the pyramid. As long as there is like chaos and distractions and these wedge issues, they just throw them down the alley, and then everyone attacks each other. They can shake the ant farm and get the ants to tear each other to pieces without much effort. And as long as they're able to do that, the ants are never going to come after them. So I think, people talk about the fall of Rome and whatnot, but when you think about the economic disparity, if you think about the distance between, the average person and somebody like Elon Musk, right? If you made like $86,000 a day for 10,000 years, you still wouldn't have as much money as Elon Musk, right? So Rome can fucking fall, and he's still gonna be plenty cush. So, the main thing is they're going to try to control as much of it as they can, and then they're going to try to organize the chaos so that it acts as a diversion. This has been going on for years. People have noticed, it's been going on forever, but it's been really obvious for the since like 2020. Pretty much anyone that's not brainwashed and indoctrinated to the point where they're not capable of thinking for themselves at this point is like, okay, this is fucked, and has seen through the majority of the illusion. Like I said, it's not difficult. Have I asked you guys to hit the like button in a while? If you want to support people that fight for free speech, likes help. Sharing helps even more because I've been demonetized. Supporting the channel is the best thing that you can do. Yeah, well, there's a plus side to everything, and order cannot come unless there's chaos. So I personally believe that it's very likely that we are heading towards another. I don't want to say utopia, but like ancient Greece, the main focus of culture and society was art and music and philosophy. Philosophers were actually respected, and it was understood that people like Plato were doing the most important work that humans are capable of. They had their priorities straight, and people were doing what humans are here to do. But one point that I do agree with the overlords on is that there are way too many people for that. And anyone that goes to like a major city and you go to the poverty-stricken areas of those cities or down south in the trailer parks or whatever, and realize how many people are in that state of mind, and try to imagine just bringing them all to some higher dimensional, like it just doesn't seem like again, we can influence each other by non-physical means, entrainment and all that stuff. It's definitely true, but I think that it's basically what I'm saying is the shit is going to all the way hit the fan, and then maybe we can emerge and actually have a sensible society with its priorities in order, that's committed to the things that humans are supposed to be committed to. Because, clearly we have lost our way at this point, at least in terms of the majority. So, I know none of this is really all that inspiring or happy, but it needs to be said, I'm afraid. What is the catalyst cataclysm? Yeah, I think that the universe is really an equation balancing, right? So it's opposite energies canceling each other out, and so a lot of people believe that military folks are heroes, and I totally disagree. I think killing strangers for college money is no better than being a stick-up kid, and being brainwashed enough to go and murder people for corporate interests is it's not commendable. A lot of them are good people that are just misguided, but at the end of the day, there's still people that are willing to go and shoot people for a paycheck. and they are easily misguided. That kind of thoughtless following of leaders is not okay. It just isn't. And so I think the situation kind of looks like, all of the people that are willing to fight it out, let them fight it out. And then when the dust clears, they're all gone and everyone else can come out and establish a sensible society. That's something along those lines. And again, I don't want to be perceived as being like negative, but I don't really see us suddenly turning on a dime and just like straightening all this shit out somehow. I think, we have quite a few crazy ass dictators on this planet that are not going to stop until they've either taken over the world or get assassinated. And they're just going to get replaced by somebody else with a similar ego and psychopathy and that whole business. So I think our expectations should probably be that we are going to anticipate a sort of climax of this catastrophe. And it is not until the smoke is cleared that we are going to see the trajectory change. This has got to hit an omega point, and then maybe we can create something new. But I'm afraid we're going to have to hit a point of maximum chaos before that can happen. But in the meantime, we should still do everything we can do to change the trajectory just in case it's possible, right? I mean, we got nothing better to do, right? So, that's why I'm here talking to you guys and just trying to make sure everyone knows that they're trying to put people, in prison for decades just for free speech. Just, they have gone that far to try to prevent the free flow of information and to eliminate free speech, the last platform where we can communicate more or less freely. And you have to ask yourself, why would they do that? Because it's not like they don't like twerking. That's not the reason. That's not the reason. When you can actually watch the Senate, I don't know what they're called, the meetings, whatever, the videos, and they'll show some woman making stupid faces, and there's no point to it, and it's really dumb. And the senator's going, see, this is why we need to get rid of TikTok, because it's stupid. If you believe an American politician when they say they want to get rid of something because it's stupid, you are stupid. Period. End of story. The American elite has never had a problem with stupid influences for the public in the United States. The entertainment in the U.S. has been banal, vapid, stupid, pointless, increasingly so for decades and decades, and it's by design. Right? That is not why they want to get rid of TikTok. So then you have to ask yourself, why? And the only fucking thing that I can find is the fact that it is still a place where people can communicate openly. And it is the last platform. Twitter maybe, I guess. I guess we still have Twitter. But honestly, when I get on Twitter, I don't see a lot of out-of-the-box thinkers. What I see is clash between people that are totally indoctrinated into the left or totally indoctrinated into the right, and they sound like they're mimicking the pundits on either side. I don't see any free thinking there. I just see a bunch of monkeys imitating whoever they think they're supposed to imitate in order to virtue signal for the monkeys that they think are on their squad. That's what Twitter looks like to me. It's not. It's not. I definitely see a lot more interesting, metaphysical ideas and, people calling out suspicious government activity. And most of it is bullshit. Conspiracy talk is 97% garbage. You know what I mean? Most of I say this all the time too, most of the alternative narratives are complete bullshit. There's, it's like a diamond mine. There are diamonds here and there. Echo chamber? So what, you just said my mic sound great. Is it if I get close to it? Yeah, that's what happens. If I get close to it, then the reverb picks up. So I'll back up a little bit. But it's like a diamond mine, right? The truth is the diamonds. But the overwhelming majority of that diamond mine is just black coal. It's just carbon. It's nothing. It's useless. I mean, it's not useless. You can burn it, but that's not the metaphor we're after here. There's only these tiny little light refracting crystals of truth, and then there's just an enormous. Oh, not the microphone, the Twitter. Yeah, an echo chamber. Yeah, I can't stand it. People told me, if you want to grow your audience, you got to get on Twitter, and every time I get on there, I just see these propaganda mouthpieces for the left and the right, just saying the same like cookie cutter shit that all of them they use the same phrases, the same. It's crazy. They're all just like, it's like they have a script and they've given it to the dude who is it, Hannity, and they've given it to Elon Musk. Even has just turned into a right-wing mouthpiece. And then I don't remember the names of the guys on the left, but they have left-wing versions that do the same thing. They just all say exactly the same shit, and then all the monkeys just babble all the same crap that the head monkey is saying to get them all to hate each other. It's just so stupid. I can't handle it. You know what I mean? I can't handle the echo chamber. It's difficult for me to do this at all anymore, honestly, because there's just so much brainwashing and indoctrination, and it's really difficult to imagine people coming together at this point, at least in the kind of numbers that are needed, because it's so easy. People have lost the ability to think critically. They don't analyze things enough. They don't ask the obvious questions like cui bono when it comes to conspiracy theory stuff, because the conspiracy theories are important. Sometimes they're true. And it's really, really important that we isolate the ones that are true and figure out if we can do anything about them. But, every time any person is repeating lies, they're doing a disservice to the entire human race. And there is so much of that. And people, they have confirmation bias. They fall in love with an idea. It's often religion-driven. And if it's not religion-driven, then it's often politically motivated, selective perception and confirmation bias, and every single one of these psychologically aberrative, anti-enlightened, they're driven by instinct. All of these biases, but yeah, people just are parroting so much bullshit on both sides that it's like paralyzing. And until people are willing to take responsibility for their beliefs and to have the humility to be wrong and the courage to admit they don't know, we are in an irreversible quagmire. And the social engineering has created masses of psychophants and narcissists and monkey imitators, you know what I mean? So it is really difficult. And it's never been more important that those of us that are really thinking and awake and aware connect. But I think, honestly, that we're all afraid to. I think that, people are afraid to form groups. And look at what happens to like Osho's cult up there in Oregon, and what happened in Waco is super sketchy. You know what I mean? And I'm not even talking about starting cults, but you guys know what I mean. Assembling in large numbers with any kind of purpose or message. And I think it would make you a target, and I think everyone knows that. And that's why it's not happening. Unless it's happening very quietly, and I'm just not in the United States, so I'm not seeing it. And there are like intentional communities, but for those of us that aren't willing to be vegan and wear earth tones and be completely full of shit all the time, those intentional communities mostly would be a nightmare. So, but I think. Yeah, and and then the social media allows people to kind of engineer their own perception, which is great, except that they're starting from a place of confirmation bias and selective perception, and feeding their cognitive dissonance. And then what is so powerful about these biases and their influence on our consciousness is that once they have been established, if you challenge them, the psychology of it is that the person who has been challenged will have a fight or flight reflex rather than listening and responding and adapting. The instinctual response is fight or flight. And so this is, why it's so important that we create ourselves and rise above all of these influences and learn to operate from a place that is higher than instinct, but without negating instinct, because you don't want to do that. I've done that, and I've had to rebuild my instincts because I was so determined to fight against all the lower animal stuff that, I disabled it all to at times even debilitating degree, so that's not what we want either. But we definitely have to learn to recognize these psychological influences and our own tendencies and, develop objectivity. People need to start to admit that they're wrong. People need to learn to recognize their own programming and the effects of political indoctrination and the cues and the signs and the symbols. I can help you with that. I do consultation work, and I can definitely put you on the chopping block and remove all of that stuff. It's actually not very difficult. It's actually incredible how easy it is, and the thing is, the way that it's balanced or the way that it sits in the being, it's all, very, very fragile. As soon as a person is willing to deconstruct all of those influences, all of that cultural, what did Terence McKenna call it? Provisional programming. Once a person is willing to deconstruct all that stuff, it's very easy to dismantle it. And a lot of people are afraid to do that because the greatest fear of humanity is out of the unknown. And then once you have dismantled all of your BS, your belief system, your bullshit, you have to deal with not knowing. And I think most people would rather believe comforting lies than have to stare the abyss straight in the face and try to make sense out of it. So, but, to me, truth is much more rewarding. I would much rather live in the light of truth and in the universe that actually exists, in the political atmosphere that actually exists, in reality as it actually is, and try to deal with it and try to kind of be a warrior and have some warrior spirit and try to sort it all out and see if we can't make something better out of it. I don't know. Like I said, we got nothing better to do, so might as well. But thank you guys so much for spending this time with me. I appreciate each and every one of you. Please tell people about this. Don't let it go under the rug. Take it seriously. Do not support censorship or fight against free speech because you think it's going to limit hate. All it's going to do is allow the evils of society to breed in the dark or out of sight, where we are, don't know that they're there, don't know where they are, don't know what they're thinking, don't know what they're planning. It's super stupid to think that's a solution to anything. And we really need to look at the fact that they're threatening to pass a bill in the U.S. that would put people in prison for 2 decades. Mandatory minimum, which means the judge cannot sentence you to less time, even if he wants to. There's nothing he can do. Has to sentence you to a minimum of 20 years just for viewing banned content with a VPN. And there's other evil shit in the bill, but honestly, I was going over it, and as soon as I got to that, I was just done because I'm like, okay, I don't need to know anymore. That's enough. We have a problem. So thank you guys so much, and I will be back tomorrow with some more history, my own history with the mysteries. Mysteries, my history's mysteries, and please support, hit the like button, subscribe, hit the bell notification. I noticed my bell notification hitters are a little lower than the average on YouTube. That's not cool. So don't forget to hit the bell notification, And you can find ways to support the channel in the chat and in the description, and we'll see you again tomorrow.